Arr, you'll never get me treasure without the map.
It's art time with Mr. Mayberry. Let's get busy.
Welcome to Art Time with Mr. Mayberry. A cartographer is a person who studies and makes maps. Today we're going to become cartographers as we design a treasure map. So let's get started. It's time to make some art. Okay, the first thing in making our map is choosing what kind of paper you want to make the map on. And I'm going to share several options here with you. Of course, first of all, you can just use a regular piece of copy paper, and then you can use either a brown or yellow crayon without paper and antique that. And I'll show you how you can do that here in a little bit. Another option might be what's called manila paper. It's just a lightweight yellowish looking paper, and that looks like an old map to begin with, that color. Another option is just to use like a brown grocery bag. Cut off a piece of that paper to use. You could also use the packing paper that's basically the same stuff, but on a roll. That's another option. You could also use a manila folder. That's another option. It's a little stiffer material, but it might make a neat map too. You could actually cut off one half of it and use that, or open it up and use the whole thing as a map, and then it could be hidden inside. So that's another option. Another type of paper is what we call parchment paper. It's a little bit more expensive, but this is the kind that I'll be using, showing the map that I made on. It just happens to be something that I have. But that's what I'll be using for my map that I show you here in a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to show you a couple things that you can make, give you some ideas on techniques, and then show you a map that I've already put together. And then hopefully this will give you enough ideas that you can go ahead and make a map on your own then. One of the first things I want to make is something called a compass. Now the compass on a map is something that shows you the directions, north, south, east, and west. And I'm just putting it over here to the side. You would put it anywhere on your map, probably in one of the corners, but you could put it in any of the corners. I'm just going to draw on this piece of paper to give you some ideas, though this isn't actually going to be a map that I'll finish. I'm just showing you how to draw some of these things. Okay, and so what I do here is I'm going to start with actually let's make it bigger. I'll make it bigger right here in the middle. I'm going to start with like a cross, and then I'm going to put a circle that goes around. In the cross is then in the center of this circle. Then I'm going to make an X through the middle of that, just like that. And then I'm going to make it look kind of like a star here by connecting the corners of this X to the edges of this cross that's around the side. So I'm going to slant a line here, that's one, and then two on the top. I'll do the same thing on the side here. Slant it in from the corners of the X to the tip out here of the cross, and then right here, and then down here to the bottom. And it looks kind of like a star. And when you use a map, a lot of times people on the ocean, on the sea especially, they'll use the North Star as their home point. I guess you could say that it's something that doesn't move. It's a fixed point, and they can figure out where they're at based on the North Star. So this looks kind of like a star. Now, the next thing to do with this is to put down north, south, east, west, and east. It looks like one way to remember this is what I was told in school, is that when you look at a compass or directions on a map, the west and east it spells we. And then of course north is always at the top and south at the bottom. Now you can make these letters look a more antique-y by, I'm going to make it one part of it wider. So like the edge here, and then the center line here on that. And then I'll do the line on the left, and then this line on the inside left. Make those all thicker. And then the middle of the S here, make it thicker. And then I can put like a little knob or a little mark out here at the end of each one of these. And that makes it look kind of antique-y kind of old style, old school. Okay, and then as far as decorating or shading this in, I'm going to use a technique or show you how to do a technique here that you can use anywhere on your map, and it helps to make it look older. It's a way to do shading, and that's what's called hatching. And hatching is when you take and you make lines that are close together going the same direction. That's hatching. Also, you can do what's called cross hatching, and you do your hatching and you just go across it. And so that's cross hatching, and that's areas that you might want to make a lot darker. So in the map I made today, I used cross hatching, and this is something you could use on your project as well. Let me show you how you can use it on this star on the compass here. I'm going to start with this section right here, and I'm just going to do hatching on it, and I'm going to do every other one here. Okay, so that has hatching, this is empty. I go down here, kind of like a checkerboard almost. I'm going to do hatching on this one, okay, and leave that blank. And then I'll skip one and I'll do hatching right here. Okay, and then I'm going to come out here and I'm going to leave this side blank and do hatching on this part. Okay, and then if we go down, as we go around the circle, I leave this blank and I do hatching on this one. And then let's see, this one here is blank below here, but then this has hatching on it right here. And then we continue around the circle. This is blank, and then this has hatching. Notice all my hatch marks are hash marks. They go all the same direction. Okay, and then one last place right here. So there I use some hatching on this compass. And this is something that I could put then on my map, wherever I'd like to put it, whatever corner. Now I'm going to show you a finished map that I have and walk you through some of the things that I put on it and things that you might want to include on your map. Now, when you have a map, you have physical features. You have different actual, let me take this one out of the way, actual places, locations, physical features, I mean like mountains, and lakes, and here's a forest, and a volcano. Here's a bridge going over, which is not a natural, it's a man-made thing, but it's a lot of times you'll see those on maps. A bridge, a river, and this is all on an island. You might want to make your island shaped like something. I didn't necessarily try to make it look exactly like something, but it does look like some kind of a face. This looks like an eye, and this inlet or this bay here looks like a mouth. And it looks like it's just the side of a head. Okay, so that just kind of happened as I was working with it. And then also on the corners of the map, you might want to make other things. Like here I've made some curved lines to represent the ocean or sea around the map. There's a whale at the top. On the old-time maps, you'll see these kind of things in the ocean, maybe a sea monster or a whale. Here's a ship, sailing ship. Here is the wind, or the north, the winds of the north. And then here is our compass that I showed you how to draw earlier. I put it down here. Now this is that parchment paper. It looks kind of antique-y, just like it is. And then also something else I did was to cut out some notches around the edges, just randomly. I tried to get them so they weren't exactly spaced right across from each other, that they staggered a bit. So like on this one I put at the bottom, and this side I put up at the top, or this side I put on the right, and this side I put the left. Now these two are close, but it's enough variation there that it doesn't look like it's too even. It looks uneven. But these might be rips in the map that you would have because your map is old and it's been folded and kept secret. You could also, I didn't fold this one, but that would look cool to have the fold lines in it. Or you could roll it up like a scroll. That's another thing you can do. And then also what I did, I drew it out in pencil, and then I went back over my lines with a fine line marker. Fine line marker or some of those nice gel ink pens would work well for that. And you can do your hatching and your cross hatching. Like here's some hatching I did on the whale. I did some hatching on this cloud, like on the cheeks. And then I did hatching on the cross hatching on the volcano, cross hatching around the edge of the island. And then I did hatching all the way around the edge of the map. You could also do some kind of a border on your map, which I didn't do on mine, but that's another idea. And then after you've drawn it and you've gone over your lines with the marker, then you can go back and use colored pencil to color in not the whole thing, but just certain areas. Like I colored in the whale and just where the water was, the lines that represent water, not across all the ocean. I did lightly color the whole island, but then I darkened in like the trees and the lake and the mountains and the volcano. I used colored pencils and darkened those all in. Of course, here's X marks the spot, and you want to have lines that show the path that you need to follow to get to the treasure. And a lot of times on maps, they'll call those, it's so many paces. Like each of those lines could represent 5 paces, or they could each represent 1 pace, 1 step. And then that, by using those marks, then you could figure out how many steps it was to get where you're going. And of course I made this one a lot more difficult. Here's where the starting place was, and I could have gone right across the river and there's a treasure, but I wanted to make it a lot more difficult, so I made it go all the way around the island. And then if you didn't know what this was, I went ahead and put at the bottom that this is a treasure map. But this is, you can have a lot of fun with this. The antiquing, let me show you that really quick. Here's our one that we did with the hatch marks, and I'll use a brown crayon with the side of it, and I'll just lightly go over what I've already drawn. Of course, this is just pencil, but you could also go over that with marker. And that makes it look kind of antique-y and old. You could also do the brown and the yellow together, and that makes it look kind of almost the color that I have on the parchment. But it gives it kind of an antique look. And so that's what the purpose of that is. You can use other types of markers as well. You can try those as well. But I wanted to give you some ideas so that you can go ahead now and create your own treasure map and just have a lot of fun with it, be creative, see what you can come up with. And this is our project for today, making a treasure map. Well, if you like this project, just leave a comment below. Thank you for coming to art class, and I'll see you next time.